let the days go by. Quarantine, don't let the days go
By quarantine should have been easier on you.
It won't change though we want to. It should have been easier by 3. Now we're just practicing social distance.
Woo! We'll get better at that.
What the heck, everyone? Welcome to Good Morning Lompoc. I'm one of 2 hosts, Jeremy Ball, with my lovely wife, Michelle. Michelle, how you doing this morning?
I'm nervous. Good morning, Lompoc.
Very nervous. But you told me not to call you beautiful, so I won't say that. You look very nice this morning.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning and tuning into our little random show.
Good Morning Lompoc.
Yeah. So why are we doing this, Jeremy?
Well, I think we, like everyone else, we kind of went through the process of figuring out over the last couple of weeks, like what has happened, and obviously the world has changed considerably. And I like to think that we're, after going through our freak out moments and all of the stress and how do we deal, I think a few of us are starting to just sort of settle and mellow out a little bit and try to look ahead and see, okay, certain things are uncertain. Let's figure out what we can do to stay connected and get the community to look ahead.
Yeah, definitely one of the reasons. We were also very bored. Obviously, business has kind of gotten a little bit quiet, and I was finding myself on social media all day and the news, and I'd go from being positive and seeing something and then seeing some doomsday posts. So I'm trying to keep myself busy. I'm sure all of you are too, and also trying not to completely freak out and worry about things too much.
This show, this isn't something that we came up with weeks ago. Lots of planning. We kind of had our let's do something moment maybe just a couple days ago. You want to talk about like how do we come up with this? And now we're using all of our camera equipment used for our business. But how did we come up with this idea? What was the motivation for that?
So we saw a lot of cool things happening in the community. And well, first of all, a week and a half ago, we saw a lot of empty shelves at the grocery stores, people freaking out, people thinking that world was going to end and let's buy all the toilet paper, which doesn't really make any sense. But, and then we saw a lot of really cool things like people, like our friend Brittany going door to door to help neighbors, making sure that they need anything. And so we wanted to share some of those stories and some of the more positive things that we've been seeing. And so we're hoping to share more content and just kind of keep everybody busy and sane and check in with local families and see how they're doing. So
So anyway, bear with us. This is our first show. This is week 1. We're going to kind of treat all week. We've got hopefully 3 episodes that we're putting together. But if that works, please give us lots of feedback, give us suggestions. This is our first time having to stare at the camera and try not to be nervous, so we'll be working on that too. Next week, I'm hoping to bring in some live interviews and maybe some live music virtually. We can talk with some local government folks. We can talk with some small businesses. We can talk with some kids. We just want to be community. So that's why we're here. So, part of the format of the show is for us to pre-produce a couple of things for fun and share stories from within the community and to do some cooking and to share some of that stuff with you. I'm really fortunate because I have an amazing wife that cooks her heart out and I get to eat good food all the time. But we thought it might be fun to share recipe, and Michelle put something together to have some fun. So let us know what you think, and then if you've got suggestions in the future, make sure that you join the Facebook page. It's Good Morning Lompoc. We're also on Instagram, and once the show's done, we're going to upload to YouTube. So anyone that's not on Facebook can be able to see what's happening there.
Yeah.
Too. So Michelle, do you want to give us a little?
Yeah. So a little bit of context
recipe?
on this recipe. I'm part of the awesome Dare to Dream CSA. There are local farmers, and they're out on LaSalle Road. And so every week I get a box of organic veggies, and I've been getting a lot of green cabbage lately, which is oftentimes the last thing in my crisper, and I made a lot of kimchi and
So
sauerkraut
nice.
and random things. But then I saw this recipe in Bon Appetit a couple weeks ago, and I tried it out and looked at some comments on there and kept kind of tweaking it. So this was really simple.
So you improved the recipe, what you're trying
I
to say?
I think it got a little bit better. And it's simple. It's cheap. Cabbage is obviously super cheap right now. It's really healthy. Um,
And it's one of those
and
things that, most people just avoid, and it's
yeah,
kind of like a cardboard lettuce until you know what to do with it.
yes.
So anyway, you're amazing because you put this together, and we've had this 4 or 5 times now at home, and every single time it's better than I thought it was going to be. So anyway,
Yes.
so check this out and enjoy.
Starting with the head of green cabbage, we're going to slice it in half and core it and then cut it into quarters. After that, we're going to put it into a bowl and add salt, which helps to get some of that water out of it so it doesn't get too soggy. Next, we're going to take a jar of crushed tomatoes and we're going to measure out 2 cups. Put that into a copper pot. We're going to add some salt and some seasoning to taste. I added garam masala. That's not from 2016, although it says it, and I just did a teaspoon of that, but you feel free to add whatever spices you enjoy. So like half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of coriander, and then we're gonna reduce it on the stove until it gets nice and thick. I'd forgotten to add garlic to that, so I'm adding some garlic now, and I'm not really measuring, I'm just adding to taste. So I do taste it after it's reduced down. Once I get it right, then it's good to go. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Get a cast iron skillet, add your olive oil to that, and then we're going to sear off the cabbage. So we want the pan to be nice and hot, and we're going to sear the cabbage so it gets nice and brown and crispy, just caramelizing it on all sides, about 3 minutes aside. And then after that's done, we're going to remove it from the pan. We're going to add back in our sauce, cook that down a little bit until it's nice and browned. Stir that around, and then I add about a 1/4 cup, just a little bit of water just for consistency. And then I'm going to take my cabbage and I'm going to nestle it back into the sauce itself. And then I'm going to take that cast iron and I'm going to pop it in the oven at 400 for 20 minutes. Take it back out. I'm going to turn it so it gets nice and caramelized on all sides, and then I'm going to place it back in the oven for another 20 minutes. And you can even go as long as another 30 minutes, depends on how caramelized you like. The idea is to get the sauce to kind of reduce down and get it nice and caramelized.
Are we back? Can you hear us? Okay, so hopefully you all were able to see that delicious recipe, and we even tried to help you smell it. I don't know, we got as close to the dish
It's
as
still
possible.
going on. No.
But anyway, so yeah, that's that. So again, bear with us. That's our first recipe. We're going to try to set up some polls on our Facebook page, Good Morning Lompoc, and throw out a couple different recipe ideas. And depending on how you guys vote and let us know, then we'll decide on which ones to do in the future as well. So if you've got some cool ideas or some tricks or some things or questions about food that you didn't know, maybe we can help and show the community how to do something cool. So let's move on to our next section.
Yeah.
So we wanted to bring in during every show, we wanted to bring in just a virtual conversation with a member of the community.
I think we're.
What's that?
Oh, never mind. I'm realizing that our cameras are set up in reverse, and so next time we need to. Yeah, we're still figuring this out. We are in the same room though, by the way. So, but we just tried too much technology. So we wanted to touch base with some local families. So our first family is kind of our guinea pig. And
thank you guys.
And so we interviewed Melissa Coombs, who has 3 daughters, and her husband is also a nurse. So she's got kind of a
hospital. He's a nurse at Cottage Hospital.
Yes.
Just down in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
Commutes.
So she's got a really unique perspective. The total interview was a lot longer, so we had to kind of reduce it down to our highlights. We use Zoom, which we're still kind of getting familiar with. So I promise this will be better. She's great.
And then I just want to mention one thing
do.
about this is a unique situation because kids aren't going to school. She has 3 daughters. And those 3 daughters are all different ages and go to 3 different schools. So the complications and challenges of schooling and parenting and work is pretty interesting. So I hope you enjoy this perspective of the Coombs family.
I'm here.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, there's a hole in your mask.
Yes, I don't know how well it's going to work. Actually, I'm just kidding. I just did that for fun. I actually am not wearing a robe because I decided to get dressed today because I think I've been wearing too many workout clothes this week. So
No, that's great.
to make an entrance.
So,
So
the reason we wanted to reach out to you is we thought it was that you had maybe a unique perspective to offer us, in that you have three daughters, of different ages, going to three different schools. You also have a husband who is a nurse locally. So obviously, this is impacting you in multiple ways. So we just thought it would be good to check in with you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Mike has to, basically get undressed in the courtyard before he comes in. He has to, we're doing everything, to keep it out of our house. I feel like our home and anyone else that works closely with public people that are dealing with it, we really have a higher risk of catching it. Mike said that he had 2 tests come back last night that were confirmed. There's nurses and doctors that have already confirmed have it. They can't come in. They're taking measures at the hospital level before he even goes in. They're taking temperatures of the doctors and nurses before they come in. There's a whole situation that's out there that I don't think people see out there that I get to hear because, I'm married to Mike. Visitors are not allowed to come in and visit people in the hospital. Surgeries are stopped. And I think the thing that's kind of crazy is that my husband's wearing his own scrubs, has to bring them home, whatever could be on there. We're washing them here. I think it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, it's a little bit difficult to kind of figure out and wrap your head about. And I'm not trying to cause more fear. It's just it's the reality. Nobody knows.
So I know you mentioned that your older girls are just kind of more so annoyed by all this, and your oldest is a junior, right? So how do you respond to them, and how are you dealing with it all too?
I don't even know what to say half the time. I mean, I get frustrated because she's moody, but then I'm like, well, I don't even know what's happening. So, I mean, the first day I was at home after I decided to be not at the salon, I was awful. I was grumpy. I was so angry, and I had no real idea why. And I'm like, it's got to be because I'm a very busy person in general, and I keep myself busy, and I like routine, and I like to, I wake up at this time and I like to do all these things. And so now my routine is out the window, which as adults, we're always like, oh, I can't wait until that, but it's not true. We like to have our routine. So I was super grumpy. I was not nice. And I had to apologize to a couple of people because of my poor behavior and attitude. But I think they're feeling that also. There's no other way that we're just trying to figure it out. It's tough. The kids are hanging in there. I think they're enjoying some of the freedom of not being inside of the school, but I think they're missing the social part of being able to go to their friends and hang out with them whenever they want to.
Obviously, this has been a challenge for everyone. What are some of the silver linings that you've taken from the experience so far overall, if there are any?
I actually am enjoying the fact that I don't have to look at my phone all the time when it comes to my calendar. Mm-hmm. I don't have to respond right away to clients, even though I am when they are texting. Everybody has been freaking amazing. That's the biggest thing. Is I'm not from Lompoc, but the small town vibe here, I will say, that's been really really cool. Without everybody's trying to help out. Everybody's giving. They're trying to help small businesses. I've seen some of my friends that own businesses here get completely shook up mentally about it. And you don't think about that when you're doing the day-to-day, but when you have to sit and think about, oh my gosh, the economy, how am I going to make my house payments? How am I going to do these things? It's huge. But what I love that's been great, it's seeing everybody actually be a community and not trying to sound cliche or, cheesy, but it's true. You can see it on Facebook. You people coming over and dropping off things and being willing to take their time out of the day. Well, we have nothing but time currently, but you know what I mean? That's been really cool. So it's given me a little bit more of a glimpse of humanity, because I was starting to get to that point where I'm like, man, this town is too small. I need to shut myself back in and kind of energize my brain on an intellectual level and start doing different things for myself. But this has been great. This has been really cool. And walking with my daughters and actually being outside and enjoying what's going on and just having moments where I don't have to rush and go somewhere, that's been huge too.
Okay,
Oh,
and we're back. Thank you.
I think we're
again.
back. Hold on.
Are we?
I don't know. We're still
We're
learning.
gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Did everyone see Melissa Coombs? Let us know. Someone send a message. Anyway, so that's our. Thank you, Melissa, for being our inaugural guest for that.
And our guinea pig.
And our guinea pig. And that's what we'd like to bring. We want to connect with people in the community. Want to share stories and unique challenges or good things or any feelings that you have. We'd love to talk to you about that. So if you have an idea or would like to potentially be on the show, send us a message on our Facebook page, which is at Good Morning Lompoc, also on Instagram.
I do want to give a shout out to our friend Eric. I'm putting him up a picture of him up here. So our friend
Vandenberg firefighter,
yes,
Air Force Base firefighter,
and he's also a coach at our CrossFit Ohana gym. And him and his daughter Lily have been out in front of Walmart.
Amazing people.
And they're helping the elderly kind of with their grocery shopping if they need to. And I'm sure they'd help anybody, really. But if you can, yeah.
I don't think I'm old enough for him
it'd be
shop for me.
Yeah, it'd be awkward. So he's going to be there again Tuesday and Wednesday if anybody needs help with their groceries. And I thought that was really cool. So
if you want to collaborate potentially, that's what we're doing here in the community. Just reach out, connect with people that you know. If you see them doing good things and you'd like to either help or support, either reach us out. We'll try to connect you or message them independently and try to do good. So speaking of good, we've just been really impressed with, again, seeing our neighbors and friends figure out how to deal with this and then start to think of others around them outside of their own little network of family. So a couple examples that you wanted to talk about, Michelle?
Well, we were thinking about different ways to communicate, and that's been something that's really been popping up. There's been a lot of, there's been a cyber happy hour group on Facebook, and people are getting together via Zoom to have cocktails.
Which we might consider, if we have a good response to the Good Morning Lompoc, we might do Good Night Lompoc, do a happy hour or something.
Oh my gosh, I think I'd be so much calmer too at that point. I feel like I need a little. It's like I feel like the coffee isn't really helping, but yes, a little happy hour I think would just settle the nerves a bit. But yeah, so different ways to communicate. Our local CrossFit gym, CrossFit Ohana, where we joined there in 2012. You would think we would be way more buff if, but
we're just maintaining.
Yeah, because we drink a lot and eat. So. So they started doing live WODs on Facebook too.
What's a WOD?
And it's a workout of the day. So it's just another way for us to stay together and stay connected and, heckle each other and not feel like we're completely alone during all this. So Darren wanted to give a couple tips on what did he want to tell us?
So let's see, Darren Zavella, the coach, just a really awesome friend. I reached out to him and just thought, just want to see if he'd be open to just putting something quick together, filming himself at home. Almost all of us are at home. We need to stay active. This applies to everyone, whether you're a young person, middle or older person. We have to stay flexible and think about those things. So when we're holed up, what can we do in our house to stay healthy and active? So Darren, thank you so much for doing this for us and giving us a little tip.
This first part you might not want to do at home, but we'll...
Yeah, don't try the first part at home, but if you want to learn how to do that, CrossFit Ohana once we get rocking and rolling.
How do I... Oops. Hold on.
Hang on. We're figuring it out.
I forgot to get this one queued up.
Oh, okay. We're doing it.
Do you know how to drag something?
So I thought you could just drag it into the window.
I am, but I think my hands are shaking too much.
Okay. Hang on. Don't leave us.
There we go.
Okay, here it comes. Thanks, Darren.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Darren Savell, the CrossFit Ohana. Hope everybody is well out there in this Lompoc community. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Caitlin, with Keller Williams Realty, and my daughter, Taylor, for sticking it out with me, being stuck in the house. I just want to give a little shout out to CrossFit Ohana too and all the peeps that are on there live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Right now we're going to do some wall sits. So we use this wall, we'll go quarter squat, few seconds, just about parallel. Let's try to keep those heels down on the ground. Few seconds, and then we'll go all the way to the bottom, press that tailbone up against the wall. And just hold. You guys can do this for a few seconds, but for time constraints, we'll switch it up. If you need assistance with your air squat, if you guys go ahead and hold on to the door frame and just assist you guys in coming down and up, we can make sure you try to keep that chest as upright as you possibly can. Awesome. Hope you guys stay safe. We're thinking about each and every one of you. Lompoc's gonna come together. We'll be stronger than when we left.
Hey, I think it worked.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you again, Darren.
Thank
for doing
you.
That. And so if you guys like that and you want to get a little tip during each show, or at least once a week, whatever Darren's willing to do, let us know if you liked it. Give us some feedback so we can kind of figure out how to tune and dial this show in just perfectly so that you guys are continually blown away. Michelle, let's get towards our wrap up here and close it down. We wanted to talk about a couple, maybe just fun personal recommendations of just ways to approach life these days. So Michelle, what did you have for us?
So last week I've gone through a series of emotions with all this, and I'm sure you have too. And I've never kept a journal before, but I found myself just finding a little bit of relief in writing my thoughts down, because every day is a little bit different. Some days I'm positive and I look at the fact that I have more time and I'm able to do some of the creative projects that maybe I didn't have time for before. And then other days I have a nervous breakdown worrying about financial ruin. So it's been a roller coaster, and I'm sure there's obviously a series of emotions with every basic. I think being able to write this down, how you're feeling every day, kind of keeping track of that, and then check in with yourself. I think it's a good way to kind of get that out there. And then I think somebody's going to want to document this someday, because historically this is unprecedented, and the fact that we're all sitting inside our houses, not leaving and talking to each other on the internet, and
whole new world.
Yeah. So anyways, I think we might want to look back on this at some point and ask ourselves, like, how did we do that?
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation.
It does make me think of, the couple generations ago that lived through, maybe crazy things like the Great Depression or World War, and the adaptation that humanity had to go through to survive and figure that out. And obviously this is our generation's and maybe the last generation's first time to deal with something this serious, but I'm really proud of humanity. I think it's just stunned me how quickly we evolve into figuring out how to deal with things. So for me, my recommendation has just been to take a deep breath. Michelle can vouch for me. I've always been kind of a Pollyannic, positive person, always trying to find silver linings and how everything's going to work out. And this one's been obviously very tough for me, because it's hard for me to just default into, it'll work out, right? So for me, my basic thing has been to every single morning start with just my deep breaths. I know that's so cheesy and we should just breathe deep, but spending 5 or 10 minutes for me, kind of dialing in my breath a little bit, has opened up my perspective for the entire day and helped me, like Michelle said, not go down the rabbit hole of just looking at negative posts all the time. So that's my recommendation, is to breathe deep in the morning. Michelle's make a few notes if you can. For our next show, Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We're going to give you a little teaser. Michelle, you want to talk about our guests for Wednesday?
Yes. So coming up on Wednesday with Katie, Marcel, and Miss Alaya, kind of providing their insight and perspective and what they've been doing the last week and a half. And so we're going to play just a quick little clip from their interview.
Thank you, guys.
Well, we made jam to give it to all who gave things to us.
And others.
Yes.
We've had a great community.
We've been getting flowers. We've also been getting fudge.
Yeah, we got fudge dropped off. People drop off
today.
flowers. We also got half a case of champagne of sparkling wine
From
from somebody.
When Alaya and I went to the beach yesterday, I saw a lot more people walking around as families. I saw more joggers, more bicyclists, and a lot fewer cars. I'm also noticing more people than usual waving at each other, and so there is a sense of community that's happening. And so whether I look at it from the financial perspective or the community perspective, this is going to be a drastic shift in how we live moving forward. Life is going to change for both the better and the worse.
All right.
Okay, we're back. Michelle, that's the end of our show today. Thank you guys
That's
for
it.
sharing with us.
Yay! It's
so
over.
Nervous this morning, Michelle. Thank you so much for
Yes.
being awesome, as always.
And we're going to figure out this camera
we're gonna
thing
make
and
it
swap
better
it
and
so
better
that
and better.
we
This is
can
week
talk
one.
to each other and not.
Last message. Don't forget, tell all of your friends, share this with, please. Share it with your friends on Facebook. Good Morning Lompoc is the page, at Good Morning Lompoc. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and in just a few minutes, we're going to upload this finalized video to YouTube so that anyone that's not on Facebook can see it. So thank you guys again. Have a great day as much as possible. Take some notes, send us messages, feedback, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Ciao.